What's up, Voltheads? So recently there's been a number of announcements in relation to the new Nintendo Switch 2, and as part of that, Gearbox made an announcement that Borderlands 4 will be coming out on Switch 2, and they've given us another short teaser trailer. The quality of this trailer is very poor. The audio wasn't even synced, but there's a few little things here that we can have a quick look at, and also Nintendo's official website did have 4 new images which do potentially have some interesting information in them as well. So we'll just go through this real quick and see what we've got here. This is just Randy being Randy, and the first scene that we get here is the same scene we've seen in both of the main trailers so far. This one was, I think, the second still in the first full trailer, and in the second trailer we had that little intro with the siren walking up to a little loot chest and a little animation with that, and that was just in front of the same structure. They're very focused on this. This is, I presume, one of the Ripper structures, very fallen in style. But yeah, they've showed us this basically in every trailer so far, so there's got to be something about this that is a bit of a focus point in the game. Nothing else really there to point out other than we have a night setting this time. I think this is the first time we've seen this at night, so that's quite good to see a day-night cycle in action, and that definitely helps to change the vibe here, the atmosphere with the lighting change. This is one of the I think one of the Timekeeper's facilities in the snowy mountainous area. I think we've seen some of these structures from the outside, a couple of inside shots like this. There's always red lights or red lit sort of areas around these. This time it's the most comprehensive internal shot of one of these structures I think we've seen so far. And we have these kind of light kind of I guess laser-like kind of cells, it looks like, with maybe little kind of critters in there, but sadly the quality doesn't really allow us to see what's there. One of the Timekeeper's larger units walking down the front here as well. We've seen him in most of the trailers. Not really too much else to point out there. This might be one of the bridges. There's a number of bridges heading to the large mountainous area that sort of fires out the pink sort of energy beam, and those bridges definitely kind of look like they could be that kind of corridor sort of look. But all the long building from clip 4 or 5, I think it was, in trailer 1, which I think we see an external shot from that in a minute, so that's quite possible. But back to this clip. This is again in the tropical area, which we saw for the first time in trailer 2. There was a good choice of track on that. I liked the Joey Valance and Bray track. That was cool. So yeah, this is one of the more tropical looking psychos. He's got the green pants on. That seems to be how they're sort of identifying those. And you've got this red sort of energy blade, which is featured in the cinematic in trailer 1. Or not including the teaser, and then in trailer 2, I think we've had a couple of times when we've seen these being used by the character assets as well. So they're obviously quite a regular. Nothing else we can really see here. Just a bit more of a shot on that, a bit of the Ripper style architecture in the background here, just tying them to this area again. This is a first time for this unit. This is, I think, clearly one of the Timekeeper's units, but a lot higher ranking than most of the ones we've seen so far. You've seen that sort of the tankier unit like we saw just now, and then some more kind of grunt units, the kind of floating wizardy warlocky units. But this guy seems a lot more elaborate, so I don't know if I'd go as far as to say that this might be more of a boss character, but he definitely seems like he'd be a more higher ranked enemy. One of the normal grunt looking ones in the background, and then it's obviously in that same sort of red area with the kind of red cells. Whether that's the same corridor, couldn't say, but very similar. So probably in that mountainous area. As he turns there, we just got a little bit more of a look at his sort of chest plates and all these kind of, it's almost like robes. It's almost like a kind of not royalty, but kind of like just a car, or kind of a yeah, like not as far as sort of Roman, but it definitely gives that sort of appeal of more authority to this guy. This is one of the The red lit cities, this is in one of the caged mega cities in my view of things. This is top of the cage you can see. I've got a video of that if you're not up to date on the caged mega cities. We got a gun here. It looks like this is very much, I can't see the text on this, but it looks like there's a little text on that which makes it feel like this is kind of mottled together as a weapon. Sort of like there's like a soda can or whatever, and the sort of general sort of shapes and bits going on here again make me think that the bandit weapon type is very likely back in Borderlands 4. I don't think there's been anything official on that so far, but we've seen a number of guns that do fit into the bandit style archetype, particularly in trailer 2, so this is maybe more evidence of that. I'm not sure about this sign here. I'm not sure if there's any significance to that. More signs of the timekeeper, just his sort of oppressive eyes everywhere kind of vibe. You've got these two ships here. We have seen these in other trailers that pop in and out of existence as they're moving around. This one here is obviously scanning down below, and I think these might be used as a spawning mechanic for certain kind of units. I think in trailer 2 we maybe saw something that looked, that was kind of like they appeared and then a beam came down and then I think someone ran out and it sort of gave that impression, but couldn't say for definite. They might just be a unit as they are, or just maybe ambient, but that's my sort of impression of those so far. Can't really see too much else. It's way too poor quality, and then you've obviously got a lot of sort of ambient fog and what have you in this zone. I'm definitely more leaning towards the idea that there are multiple of the timekeepers contraptions, the main structures and the mega cities, and this one with the red lights is going to be one specific zone, and then the other one we looked at with the yellow buildings and the more favela-y architecture and the sludge, like all the refuse, very heavily on the outskirts of the city. I think it's probably likely these are two different zones now rather than one zone that was just, you know, more varied. Nothing else we saw there. Same zone, same sort of city, a little bit of a different area. Once again, you can see the cage over the top. Check out my video about that. Larger structure here. We've got a hotel sign. More of the timekeeper signs everywhere. Nice bit of bunting here. Like we always like a bit of bunting in Borderlands. Just helps to kind of give everything a bit of a homely vibe, you know. I like the style of this area. You've got almost Athena style, Asian-y vibes to a bit more of the architecture. Definitely gives a cyberpunk kind of feel. I think that there's been a big influence in regards of that. This zone also makes me think a bit about the Vice District in Handsome Jack's Handsome Jackpot. That sort of had some of these sort of tones as well. Definitely excited to see more of this area and what sort of enemies might be sort of attached to this. In our Vault Hunter's hands here, and this looks like Flo's hands from my opinion. If you don't know which, well, I refer to the characters as Flo, Exo, Siren, and Viking. I think I listed them as that. But yeah, so this looks like Flo's hands, which is the chick with like the big baggy pants and the pipes all over her clothes. And this looks like a Jacob style shotgun. It's got Hellwalker kind of vibes to it. We've obviously got the scope, which is a bit different, but that does look like a double barrel shotgun sort of model. So that looks like a bit of a tasty weapon. I quite like the sort of roughed up, not quite camo, but sort of like the rusty, it's not rusty, is it? It's just worn metal look. It just looks quite dangerous. Whatever. Looks fun. A bit of a bad timing on that. Let's try that again. Got a little loot chest on the side here. This, I'm unclear about this. I think this is back in just the base with these sort of angular, low kind of roof is definitely a repetitive theme in that kind of zone. So I think this is in the mountainous area. In the, I think the Timekeeper sort of base. There's always Timekeeper troops here from what we've seen so far. And you always get these sort of triangular lighting patterns. Very triangularly themed. Triangularly. Excuse me. So yeah, just another area of that with a bit more action going on. We get to see the Vault Hunter here use one of the nodes, which I think is the first time we've seen one just in a small kind of indoor location like this, so that's a bit different. This is EXO that is using this. This gun here, I'm not really sure where to go with that one. That does look a bit different. Yeah, again, the quality is so poor, it's very hard to tell. I like this reticle. That heads-up display that looks pretty interesting. Interesting is my default to go to, so you know that I'm definitely mentally interested. That's a bit of a better shot, perhaps. This may be in the new class of guns. I'm not sure I'd put that sort of geometry sort of style to anything we've seen so far, other than maybe the new class, which look quite cool, which we've seen 2 in that, but I think 2 or 3. But typically they've looked a bit more yellow, so I'm not sure about this one. This may just be a bit of a rework on the style and the design choices that are grouped together for one of the manufacturers. But it definitely doesn't make me think of too much specific we've seen in Borderlands before. You can't really see it here, but there's this red beam here, which typically is related to health. But you've got these little kind of little plates, which we've seen in the trailers so far, and I assumed would be sort of it'd still be health, but maybe it would be armor, or maybe they just changed it rather than having the syringes, because I don't think we've seen that. I did hear from somewhere, because you have to excuse me, I don't look at other people's content for this kind of stuff. I like to look and analyze and try to figure things out for myself, but in the course of using YouTube and anything else, sometimes you scan past something, or someone else you know says something, so I do pick up some ambient information on these kind of things. But someone was saying that this was something to do with a new currency, potentially, which to me seems absolutely stupid, because red has always been related to health. For it to be a new currency, I mean, come up with a different colour, guys. There's plenty of other colours out there. That just seems, I don't know, wouldn't be my preference. So this may be something to do with the currency, or it may just be health. But you see a few of those around. Back to one of the larger units here from the Timekeeper. We've seen these a number of times, and I think there is some coloration differences on some of these to indicate elemental types with them. The shot looking back here into the mountains, I need to check one of the images from trailer 1, I think it was, where we see a nighttime shot. I think this ramp here we saw like a little one of these grunts wandering around, and then there's a building behind us, and I think this is just looking in the opposite direction from that. Bit further down the back from here as well, we also had an action scene in trailer 2, and this is all below the very large mountainous structure that fires the pink energy beams, in my opinion. But yeah, I think these vehicle positions are roughly the same as that, so I still like this kind of little thing that's going on under here. I do wonder whether this is going to be some sort of weird situation where there's actually like a humanoid being or something that's actually put in here, or this is kind of more like the head almost. In some of the clips with this, it almost looks like a skeleton kind of vibe with the kind of design, which makes me feel like maybe these sort of I mean, these are obviously all of the Timekeepers kind of troops are sort of biomechanical, so there's a mix of components. So I almost wonder, it gives me the vibe of, in Borderlands 3, what are they called? I'm not going to remember what they're called now. There's very small units that Maliwan have, which basically have like, they're like the Tinks, but they have like a full-on helmet on all the time. And the lore or the idea with those is that those are Tinks that are trapped with a headset on that is basically tricking them into what they're seeing and controlling them. I can't remember the source for that, but that was my understanding of it. That might have just been from in-game information, I can't remember. But I kind of get a vibe of that with this, whether maybe there's like going to be a sort of a humanoid that is in these, or the lore will be that there's a humanoid in these that is just sort of being controlled, or somehow a part of it. But that's, I digress. Just something interesting. This is the. I'm happy to say that this looks a lot more interesting as a green area. We've seen this a number of times. It was in the background. I think the first time we saw this was in the background when we saw what I believe to be a friendly that was wearing the red clothes, black dude, that was in trailer 1, I think. And that was the first time we saw this zone. This is a lot more like Ned's zombie island from Borderlands 1. I definitely like that vibe, the kind of bayou-y kind of tie together. You've got the bit of what seems to be the Ripper style architecture around here, but then you've got a bit more kind of normal architecture similar to the stuff we saw in Eden 6. We have this contraption here that appears to be like a crane or something that is just, you know, part of just people's day-to-day life. There's a few things around like these that just give the impression that, if nothing else, maybe at one point this world was pretty normal, because it feels like there's going to be a lot less people living in these areas at this point in the events, because it seems like the Timekeeper has kind of control of Kairos, and then there's these cities with the big cages over them. It sort of feels a bit mixed, that there's sort of people inside and outside, but we'll find out in Borderlands 4. But there's not really too much else I don't think we pick up from the scene around here, but definitely liking the look of this zone a lot more now. This the mix between Eden 6 and the zombie island of Dr. Ned is definitely pretty cool. This is what is the sort of main area we've seen in all of the trailers, although we can see that this is connecting to the more tropical area. I think we saw, I think the trailer where you saw 3 of the Vault Hunters walking towards one of the Timekeeper's towers, I think that was over on the hill in the distance here. I couldn't say for definite. I'm going to have a look at that yet again, but these pipes coming down here and going off into the distance, this is sort of running through the middle of that area, if it is the same, and it's not just that these are, you know, one of another facility. Here we have a look at this vehicle, and we've got the siren on here, and she seems to have these kind of pointy ear bits on, which makes me think that that's a little bit of cosmetics. First look at some cosmetics with the characters. I like this vehicle she's on. This has some very good, it almost feels like an Akira bike mixed with the ship from Cowboy Bebop. Definitely has that kind of thing, or maybe some Neon Genesis Evangelion-y kind of vibes, a bit Japanese. And once again, this is quite sort of stylized in a way that seems to match with the siren. And I said on the first trailer, I said in one of the trailers ages ago that the vehicle types seem to vary, which may imply individual vehicles. I don't like that idea that they have their own vehicle and then there's other ones you might collect. I'm much happier thinking that anyone can use anything, but that might be a way they've gone with things, just as part of the character's suite of things. Maybe that even means that you'll have things that tie into your skill trees, that maybe means that the vehicle is a bit more of an extension of your body if you're in this world and moving around and using the vehicle a lot. Maybe that does, you know, maybe that does have some benefits, but we will see. Either way, I like the look of this vehicle. And the zone here, I think I'll try and get this from a different angle and point it out, but so this would be the very distance of the far left of the biggest sort of wide shot we've seen, and I think that maybe means that that's sort of how that connects into the tropical areas. I really hope that the map is more scattered around and the biomes aren't too sort of defined from one place to another, so it's not like just, you know, just chopped up kind of sections. I'd much prefer that there's, you know, dotted around different types of mix, but I'm not sure if that necessarily works, and I think maybe some of this is going to tie into sort of how the story goes anyway. You've got a bit of a bigger building on the left here. I don't think you can really see it from this angle, but the main focus and the most interesting thing probably in this trailer so far is that we can finally see the caged megacity that I've talked about a number of times up close. So we're now seeing the actual size and scale of these walls that are holding in these big city areas, and then the cage goes across the top of this, and then the really significant buildings of the Timekeepers are in the middle of those sections, and they've been the main focus of basically all the trailers since the teaser. The teaser pointed out that there are multiples of these buildings, and those are obviously going to be a big part. You had them behind the Vault Hunters the first time we saw them as well. So yeah, it's good to finally sort of get a better idea of the scale of these structures, which are pretty big, to be honest. So that's pretty cool. And I think that's all I've got on this one. And then we switch over to this shot, which is not very much going on here. Again, different vehicle. This would be Exo's vehicle if we are breaking them down into the character types that we've seen so far. So if we've got those 4 Vault Hunters and they each have a vehicle, this would be Exo's, because that's the last one that we've seen. We seem to have a bird here on the road, which is I think a new one for Borderlands, which is a bit of a weird one. You've got kind of almost like a seagull-y, pelican-y kind of thing going on there. Don't know what that's about, but good to see more ambient, just kind of wildlife, just to bring the world to life a bit more, just a bit more variety and colour to things. We also have a bit more of an autumny theme on this area, which I don't think we've seen before, so that's new. There's a big structure or building in the back there. I'm not sure if that is the same one that fires out the pink kind of energy beams, but that certainly could match that geometry. If not, then that's another mystery. You got a little kind of bit here that's got some buildings and what have you, and I think we've seen a shot or two sort of coming down in this direction before, looking at these, and then on the left here you would see into the distance is where you would see one of the Timekeeper's main towers. But this is me stitching a lot of things together from very little. You got these pipes feeding down here. All the kind of mega cities seem to have these pipes feeding into them, which makes me think that all of the main mega cities and the main structures, which are the focus point for the Timekeeper, then sort of connect to smaller facilities, and we're going to have to deal with those kind of as we go, as we're trying to obviously stop whatever the Timekeeper's plans are. But yeah, you can see those pipes feeding down here that we've seen in a number of the trailers. So on the left we got Elpis there, obviously looking a little bit distorted just because of the fisheye aspect ratio of just the camera in general. But I think the Exo sort of vehicle here is doing a little bit of a boost or something, just getting a little bit of a wider angle. Just a bit closer look at those buildings there. And back to Randy. Let's just see that very last bit there. So yeah, that definitely kind of, you get a bit more of an impression that there could be that facility over there. And then this is a lot more like the area that in trailer 2, when we started sliding sort of down the hill very early on in the trailer. I think that's sort of similar architecture and sort of environment to what we saw there. And that's that. But we've also got these few images that Nintendo has on their website in relation to all of this. So let me just pull those up. First one here will look very familiar. We've seen this in both of the main trailers so far, and you've got a bit of a different look. It looks like there's some more assets added here. That does look a bit more dense with some of the layering of just bits and pieces about. The graffiti is a lot clearer. You seem to have these sort of hologram elements on a lot more surfaces than they were in previous clips. And there's a couple of things here where I'm almost, like this one here, that doesn't even look like that's intended for the environment. That almost looks like a graphic they've dropped over the top of this image. So I don't know if that's, you know, some people do like Easter eggy sort of codey stuff in some of these trailers. I'm not sure if maybe that's something for you guys. Then we've got we've got a lot of these symbols here which I haven't properly covered yet, but these all tie into my my savior theory relating to Borderlands 4 in terms of the sort of society of people here and what these people are experiencing in the time since Borderlands 3, and I should hopefully have a video out on that soon, but let's just say for now that this symbol here, which we see in a number of parts in the trailer, to me it looks like, you know, kind of the idea of a planet and a shield around a planet, and the shield has been broken. And whether maybe that's all tied into the story of Borderlands 4, but that's the basic premise on those kind of things. So just a little nugget there for you, but I've got a few other things that I've seen that will tie into that sort of idea. So this is sort of almost a shrine to perhaps the person who has shattered this dome around Kairos and given these people potentially a chance at freedom. And I think break out or break free, I think it's break free is kind of the tagline so far for Borderlands 4, so just my thoughts. This area I think is the hub area. I think this is going to be our equivalent of Sanctuary. You can't see very much here, but they keep showing this same location. I think this is the entrance way, and then in here this will then be to kind of an inside kind of town, or you know, it'll be caverns that are like the proper kind of sanctuary or internal area. Some hints or vibes there of, where's Fiona from in Tales from the Borderlands? Something hollow? I don't know. She lives in a cave town. I kind of feel like maybe they're going to have taken that vibe with the Tibetan mountain setting that we have here. If you want to know more about the Tibetan mountain setting, then check out my other videos. And then we've got this clip here. I think this is probably in either one of the timekeepers kind of facilities, or it could be tied to the areas with the red lights, but it doesn't quite follow that theme. But yeah, definitely one of the offshoot buildings that potentially are significant to sort of how they're orchestrating everything with the larger cities. This is our large mountain area with the, I keep talking about the pink or purple energy beams that come out of there. We've seen this from a number of different angles, and then this facility here is sort of the place. You can see these sort of lines here, although it's sort of semi-rounded. I think maybe these might be straight corridors, and then that would be some of the clips we maybe saw earlier with the cells, or if not, in some relation to that. The most interesting thing out of everything we've seen here so far, and if you haven't already seen it, is that Elpis here is coming apart. Elpis here has basically disintegrated. I don't know if this is a mistake or a bit of a spoiler that this image has been put up now, but I had not seen that in anything else, although we saw massive cracks on it, and that also ties into one of my theories. But yeah, that is completely fallen to pieces at this point, so that's obviously something major that's going to happen in the story of Borderlands 4. I apologise if I've done a spoiler for you. Don't blame me, blame Nintendo. And this is the same scene that we saw earlier, slightly different angle. I don't know if I really took in that walkway properly earlier, but yeah, you can see a bit more of the kind of bayou-y area. So yeah, good to see that. The quality on these is so low, it's so hard to actually make much out. And then really, really low on this place that we've seen multiple times in the trailers so far. There isn't really much to say about that. This is, I believe, one of the facilities that is supplying power, so I think that there'll be a set of pipes coming out of here that are leading to one of the mega cities. You can check out one of my other videos where I put all the different zones that we've seen so far together and try to link them together semi-geographically, but you can see that one of the mega cities and one of the Timekeeper's important buildings is behind this facility in some of the other trailers we've seen. So that makes sense, that checks out. But yeah, just a repeat image there. So okay, well, I guess that's pretty much all that we can get out of this, but I just wanted to go through that and just ramble for a while. If there was anything you found interesting in what I said, please do support what I do by liking and subscribing. Please do comment on this video, and yeah, I'll be doing some more stuff like this very soon. Thank you very much for your time. Take it easy. Peace out.